Hi, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. I actually was not prepped to film this video. I kind of hit a little goal that I made for myself, and we're filming this a week earlier than it normally would. Normally this would go up on the last day of the month, and we're about a week for that, from when I'm filming at least. So I just kind of figured I hit a goal, and I am very comfortable rolling things out, rolling things in, if that is a hint at all. So this is my Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan Update 2. This project was started by Looxi Beauty. I'm going to have her link down below as well as in the cards over here. The premise is you randomly select a palette, an eyeshadow. You could pick the colors, you can randomly select the colors. Really, it's kind of taken a whole new life. I believe when Elixir started this, she randomly selected the palette and then handpicked the eyeshadow. I have just everything itemized in a spreadsheet and I randomly select it. It just helps me feel more creative with my collection. It helps me feel creative with the looks that I can come up with. And it helps me use multiple palettes, multiple shades, things that I wouldn't normally pair together. It helps me use them in ways that I wouldn't really think of using them otherwise. So we have a very exciting update today, and I'm not going to ramble too long. We're just going to get right down into it. I'm going to start with, I guess the few housekeeping things is, over here, I always put like my uses, the weight, everything like that. It's always over here. And then there's one palette that has two eyeshadows in it. So I'm going to talk about that first. Otherwise, I typically do items that have been in the longest, rotating down to the items that have been in the least. But this palette has been the star of the show for far too long in this project. This eyeshadow palette wants to be front and center, does not want to be neglected. It's the Take Me Back to Brazil palette by BH Cosmetics. And this, I mean, it's all wearing off. It's fine. But I had two shades in here. So I'm going to show you a clip of the blue shade first, and then we're going to talk about it. But I don't know if you can see it, but I do have a little pan in there, and I am totally fine with that minuscule little pinch of pan because this is a matte blue eyeshadow with glitter in it. It's like those sequin eyeshadows or whatever that has glitter to help it blend. I'm just so over blue eyeshadows. Pan is pan in my book. Does not matter to me how little, how large it is. Yeah, there is that. Then the second eyeshadow that I have is a like chartreuse green. It was a beautiful, beautiful shade to work with. But that is what we're looking like now. And there was pan, and I was not expecting pan in this. However, I will say I had some usage in this shade before rolling it into this project versus I like never reached for this blue shade. And I also feel like this is just a little bit softer than the blue shade. So it just kind of picked up product easier. It was easier to build up, which is why it hit pan so quickly. So I'm very, very happy. I mean, out of this palette, now I have 6 pans of eyeshadow in this. The next eyeshadow comes from my Pretty Guardian palette that was in collaboration with ColourPop and Sailor Moon. I have gotten so much love in this palette. This one was in the project a few times last year, and so it kind of was fun that it was in it again this year. So the shade I was working on was Luna, which was this purple shade. It's kind of like a very beautiful duochrome kind of color. Absolutely gorgeous. Was such a fun color to work with. I used this with the blue shadow a lot, and I feel like that's why I hit pan so quickly, was because I paired it together so often. And this kind of shadow is just one of my favorite eyeshadows. I don't know why. I was not a big fan of purple, except these kinds of purples have always been my kind of thing. But yeah, the next shadow comes from, ooh, goodbye. The next shadow comes from my Juvia's Place, the Deuce palette. And I was working on a matte, like cream kind of shade. There was a pretty good dip in it. We still have a pretty good dip in it. I thought I would be able to hit pan, and honestly, I think if I filmed this update the week later than I am filming it now, again, I kind of said that I was filming this about 5 days earlier than I normally do. If I worked on this for those 5 days and then filmed my update, I think I would have hit pan in this, but we have not. That is absolutely fine. It is a fantastic color to work with. I really love the Juvia's Place 𝙂𝙗 palette. This is one of my favorite palettes by Juvia's Place, except for this shade. I hate this shade so much, but I love this palette as a whole. The mattes are just so creamy. They're so creamy. I really enjoy it. So I am going to continue to enjoy using this, especially as we're segueing into the spring months. I have ghost pepper in my nose. We're making chili and we like really spicy food, so I have ghost pepper. I can feel it in my nostril. It's awful. The last eyeshadow that we were working on was the Kaleidos Futurism 2 Cyber Bronze palette. This is actually a shade that I didn't really enjoy using as much. This was a shade that I put on my list for my Fantasy Self palette as like shades that really intimidate me, but are in my collection to use anyway. The shade that we had was the shade Quantum. It is a really pretty, like objectively, it's very pretty. It's really pretty. I actually have been wearing it a lot on the outer corner, the outer corner of my eye. And we hit pan in that. So that's 4 out of the 5 shadows we ended up hitting pan in this month. And I actually hit this today when I was doing my eyeshadow. And that's kind of the reason I was like, let's just film the update. We're not going to really reach into the pan those eyeshadows. And if you've seen any updates recently in my projects, I hyper focus on this project because I want my whole collection to look loved and used. And that's what this project does for me. So after hitting pan in 4 out of 5, I was like, it's just time. We can roll the fresh new set of eyeshadows. So I already have my Pretty Random app up. I have not brought any new eyeshadows into my collection. I have not rolled any eyeshadows or decluttered any eyeshadows out of my collection. So we are just going to select 4 eyeshadows to be exact. Can you see this? Is that easy? Okay. So the first number we're going to have is 322. The second number is 194. The third number is 82. And then the fourth number is 63. So I am going to grab those and I will be right back. Oh, you have got to be freaking kidding me. Okay, so I have 2 shades that I'm going to roll out and 2 shades that I'm going to work on. So we'll just talk about the shades that I'm going to work on first. And we'll start from the bottom. Shade 322 comes yet again from my Savannah palette by C Color. This again was gifted to me by Haley. Thank you so much, Haley. And I initially thought I was going to just roll this out because this palette is very similar to Subculture. A lot of the shades are dupes of the Subculture palette. I actually did a whole video comparing this palette, this Natasha Denona Safari palette, and then the Subculture palette. And obviously the Savannah and the Safari palette are dupes, but this has a lot of dupe shades in the Subculture palette as well. We got shade number 10, which ends up being this red though, and I am fine using this because the Subculture palette doesn't have like a traditional red like this. It's like a red orange. It's really pretty. So that is the 10th shade in the Savannah palette. So that we will work on that. These pans are also not that deep, so I have a feeling I would be able to possibly hit pan and roll it out fairly quickly. 194 comes from this center of attention here. I am so annoyed. How does this keep getting rolled in? I don't understand. I'm flabbergasted. That being said, we got the 20th shade, which ends up, this is the 23rd, 22nd, 21st. 20th shade is this matte yellow. So at least it's not a freaking blue eyeshadow, you know? So at least it's a yellow. It's pretty sheer, I think. So it's going to require some building up. And it'll go really well with this red shade from the red orange from the Savannah palette, but it also is going to go well with my shadow that's in my Deck of Panning project pan. Maybe some really cute monochromatic looks will be in my future kind of thing. So those 2 shades are going to roll in. The next shadow is this guy here. This is shade number 82. Was that what it was? 82? I pulled the right ones, yeah. Shade number 82 was this guy here. This is a ColourPop single and running late. Since this is so close to my Subculture Dawn, I am not going to roll this in. This is going to be put back and we're going to roll something else. And then shade 63, this is actually the second time I've rolled this item in this project this year alone. So that is Sweet Beats, which I actually hit pan from this project last year. So we're going to roll for this one too. So that's exciting. 2 rerolls. So we have shades number 118 and 386. Okay. All right. So now so shade 118 actually comes from this palette that Josh gifted me for my birthday this past year in 2020. The shade that I rolled in though was this guy. This is a pressed glitter. This is in the shade Set Sail. It's absolutely stunning. I don't work on these pressed glitters too often because they are pressed glitters and it's not my preference. I actually think that it's pretty similar to the shade that I'm wearing on my lid today. That's really, really pretty. Like, holy blinding, that's gorgeous. And then shade 386 comes from my Zulu palette again. We just rolled this out. I guess it's only fair to roll it back in. And I'm not entirely thrilled with the shade that we rolled in, but that's fine. That is okay. That is the beauty of this project pan. That is the 8th shade in this palette. So we had shade number 7 in previously. We rolled it out last month. Shade number 8 is right next to it. It actually is a lot more pink than I feel like it comes across on camera. I feel like every time I see this palette in pictures, it looks very red. It's very pink though. Man, holy summer. Isn't that very like summer appropriate of a color story? I don't know. And then of course, I'm going to swatch out the shade from the Deuce that we're working on because got to get that whole color palette in picture. I don't know if you'll even be able to see it. I did swatch that down there. That is what we are going to be working on for the next so often. I honestly don't know how long it's going to take me to use this. Let me know any color pairings that you would like to see with this. Let me know any additional colors you might pull in to make looks with this. I am excited that, again, my Juvia's Place palettes are getting so much use this year. These palettes are some of my favorite eyeshadow formulas, and I don't think I reached for them nearly as often as I should have last year. So I'm very happy that these are getting rolled in. I just like smeared pink eyeshadow all over these. Thank you, my dirty fingers. But I am super happy. The Deuce palette's one of my favorites, and I love the Zulu palette, but I don't reach for it enough because to me it's not like a cohesive, like full, like I can't get enough cohesive looks out of this for some reason. I just feel like maybe it needed one like shimmer that was in this range. Like maybe the yellow could have been like a metallic yellow or like a really beautiful shimmer yellow. But I am very excited to continue to play with these. Again, let me know color pairings because this is very cohesive. I could make so many looks, but I feel like I might get bored of them, you know? But that is it. That is everything. I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!